Part 74. After My Death, the Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 737. However, by chance, when the host heard Gu Yufan talking to others about her, his tone was extremely disdainful. She spends so much on me, but she just wants to sleep with me. These are rich and powerful women, aren't all this kind of thoughts near me? Of course, I won't give her sleep. The ones I never get are always the best. If she gets them so easily, I am worthless. The others laughed. I'll say you. There are so many flowers and plants outside. This one looks so beautiful but hasn't kept talking. It turned out to be her white rose. The host did not expect her to pay so much, in Gu Yufan's eyes. What made her even more surprised was that when Gu Yufan became popular, she always said that she was too busy and distressed her. She didn't want her to run around, but she turned out to avoid her talking with other actresses. Love. The host was too angry. When she and Gu Yufan were arguing on the road, a car suddenly ran out of control and rushed towards the two. The host didn't know what he thought in his mind. He didn't run for the first time, but pushed Gu Yufan away. The host died unwillingly. She had long regarded Gu Yufan as a man of her own life. As a result, this man not only deceived her and devalued his affection for her, but also confused her with the rich women who played with male stars. The scariest thing is that she died for such a man. It's so dead. The host is reborn and has no intention of letting Gu Yufan pass. She will use the resources she gave Gu Yufan in exchange for Gu Yufan's acting as her bull. She wants to make this man fall in love with herself, and then throw him away fiercely, let him know what dignity is trampled on. It is not too difficult for Yanj to consciously host this wish. She asked the cub, "Is Gu Yufan powerful?" Yes, the cub paused, adding, "After the host died, the powerful person really liked the host. Any woman similar to the host, he would fall in love with that person. I went to bed for the purpose of going to bed, but this love relationship ended without any problem. He probably couldn't find the feeling of being with the host in other women. Oh, his career was very successful, but it was always a people, and later suffered from depression. His star journey has been very smooth, but people are not happy. Wood, the powerful, is also a hard-working person who has lost true love this time. In fact, I think that you can just abuse it and stop it. Don't play big." Yan Ji laughed aloud. "All people are like this. Only when you lose it, you will know how to cherish it. This is not true love, but because you have already seen the best, and those inferior products are ignored. He talked with those women at S not because of the host, but because of himself. He is unwilling to lower his high standards and is not willing to aggravate himself. Chicken. I always feel that this kind of fallacy of Wood makes sense. However, I find it strange. The time for Yanj to enter the plane is not good, but it is not bad. The host has given up the road for her to go abroad for further study, and she has become a little tea and water assistant beside Gu Yufan. The little assistant had just been in office for more than a month and a half, and it was barely familiar with his work after bumping into it. In fact, the so-called job is not a legitimate job, not even a salary. After My Death, the Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 738. Gu Yufan is still a male star outside the 18th line. The only thing every day is probably to pull resources for himself. Where can he afford to hire a little assistant? He can't even afford himself. Knowing the current situation, Yan Ji slept first. Woke up early in the morning with the telephone ringing. This ringtone was set by the host Chiu Gufan, and in his low magnetic voice he was shouting, "Mimi, it's my phone, Mimi, hurry up and answer the phone." Gu Yufan's affectionate voice, I do not know why, can hear the words creepy. Of course, probably the word Mimi is too lethal. She is a tree that is not pure at all. Listening to these two words, she especially wanted to add a big word in front of these two words. Sue was stimulated by this voice, and Yan Ji reached out and rubbed his chest subconsciously. He paused and rubbed the other side. Chicken, don't rub it, your breast, it won't matter much. Nine tails, on the ability to rub your chest big, if I call the second in this world, no one dares to call the first. Miss, you can let me out. It won't take me a month. A becomes F. Yanj blocked the words of these two guys and did not immediately pick up the phone. Instead, he took a bath and did not forget to massage his chest while taking a bath. She always felt that as long as she worked hard, her could still be enlarged. After taking a shower, open the host's wardrobe. The host's clothes are very valuable, but in order to be a good low-key assistant, the host put away his fancy clothes and turned them into extremely low-key work clothes. Yan Ji picked it at random, chose a set of red waist small skirts, and put on a pair of high heels on his feet. Then I went to see the mobile phone still ringing. As soon as the call was answered, Gu Yufan on the other side of the phone said, "Mimi, what's the matter, you are late today." Now the host's job is to go to where Gu Yufan lives, and the two people discuss and study together how to help Gu Yufan win fans and resources. Of course, during this period, Gu Yufan had to pour tea and make 3 meals. Gu Yufan called so early because he was still hungry and waiting for Yan Ji to go to his house for breakfast. Gu Yufan's room was rented. To be precise, it is the host's house for rent. He used to live in the basement, and later rented it in a Tongzi building with his colleagues. But since he knew the host, he didn't have to crowd in the penthouses that were all in an intriguing position. Compared with the place where he used to live, the configuration of this house is the difference from heaven to underground. As for rent, it means a few $100 symbolically. Mimi, you are late but you have to deduct your salary. Wages mean hundreds of dollars. Yanj ignored his seemingly coquettish tone, saying, "I'll be at noon. Don't go out and wait for me at home." He didn't explain where he was going. Gu Yufan now intends to hold Yanj, a big girl with money, even if she is not satisfied with the tone of Yanj, she will not say it, but gently said, "Be careful when you go out, the current society is not very peaceful. If there is anything, you should call me in time." Words, okay. Gu Yufan didn't even have time to say anything, he was hung up by Yanj. This woman. Is Mimi blocked? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 739. Gu Yufan threw his mobile phone on the sofa, and he was walking around the room wearing slippers, full of irritability. He hasn't received any role for more than a month, and wants to call his agent, but thinking of the agent's unwillingness to answer, he dismissed the idea again. His agent is also a third-rate agent. A lot of actors are signed, but the agent's resources are limited, and most of those resources need to be exchanged for meal bureau. Waiting for the agent to hold yourself, might as well take the initiative to find resources. The girl named Xiaomi has been talking about helping him get resources, but it has been a long time, and nothing has been going on, maybe just talking. After all, these little girls now love vanity one by one, and probably want to use this method in exchange for his closeness. Really, childish and ridiculous. The most ridiculous thing is that he even put his future hope on such a little girl. Sitting back on the sofa, he opened up the groups in his circles. From time to time, some people in the group are sending information about roadshows and numbers of men and women. Of course, there will be remarks later. Most of the messages sent by the group are handsome men and beautiful women, and most of them also need to sleep with, not with some small director or big director, but with these middlemen who can get some inferior resources. Even sleeping is not necessary. Some people have special hobbies in private, and sometimes they accompany eating. In this line, once they have eaten food, they will calculate the head later, which is also a black history that cannot be erased. The main thing is that now that the country is cracking down on the star, once the artist exposes such things as eating the stuff, the star road will immediately hang up. Gu Yufan is an ambitious man. Although he is very anxious now, he doesn't want to get resources in this way. Simply open some information posted by some more honest brokers, and send your resume and various hard photos into the other party's mailbox according to the above contact information. He's been sending out his resume this morning. Previously, I sent resumes at night and ran the theater during the day. Since the appearance of Xiaomi's girl, he hasn't sent resumes for a long time. I thought I really had a golden thigh, and now I realize that it is completely his own whimsy. Where can there be such a good thing? Even if there is, it will not appear on him. Gu Yufan, who was hungry, made 2 boxes of instant noodles to deal with this meal. He just planned to change his clothes and go to the film and television gathering place. Maybe he could pick up a leak and get a small character. Well dressed, the knock on the door rang. This place, that is, Xiaomi knew that his friends did not know that he had moved. This woman, obviously can press the fingerprints, but every time he has to ring the doorbell, he is dissatisfied and is about to open the door, and the door is opened at this time. In a red skirt, wearing oversized sunglasses on her eyes, and a red beret on her head, she was full of vigor. To that stop, she was more like a star than Gu Yufan. Seeing Gu Yufan, standing in the middle of the living room, Yan Song frowned. "Come here, pick up things." She held a small suitcase in her hand. There is nothing else other than this. So this is asking him to pull the suitcase? This little girl, so full of today's posture, what moths are coming out? After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 740. Gu Yufan walked over to take over the luggage trolley, looked at Xiaomi, who is obviously different today, and asked casually, "What's in it?" "It's mine." "Don't touch it." Yan Ji took off his sunglasses and took off his hat and handed it to Gu Yufan. He went into the bathroom by himself and finished his hair. Then he came out. Sitting on the sofa, she motioned for Gu Yufan to sit beside her. Gu Yufan laughed. "Mimi, why did you go today? How do you think you are weird today? I'll help you get the resources." Yan Ji did not go round the corner, squinting. He was sitting a foot away from himself, and continued, "Yifan, I can give you a chance to fly into the sky, but you have to pay." Gu Yufan didn't think how much gold she said. He said solemnly, "Mimi, you have to pay for any resource you want in this circle. Everyone who wants to be in the circle wants to be read. Like everyone, I also want to soaring into the sky, but I have to give up my bottom line because of this soaring opportunity. Then my dream-chasing behavior has become a kind of transaction, let alone others, I myself will look down on myself." He reached out and touched the head of the song. "You are still too simple to understand the rules in this circle. Once you break the bottom line will continue to drop. At the end, there is not even a little left. I have nothing left now. That's the bottom line. I don't want to go that way yet." Yanj has been waiting for him to finish talking, and then he got up, opened his suitcase, and took out a contract from it. It is a new contract for Xingyu, and Zheng Cheng is about to start shooting the role of the male drama number 3 in the internet drama. Gu Yufan stared at the song in surprise. Yanj put the contract on the tea table, and he opened a lollipop and leaned on the sofa to eat. "Yifan, if you doubt the authenticity of this contract, you can call and ask. There is the phone number and email address of the sister of the economic man, KN, and the address of Xingyu. You can also go directly to them." "Gu Yufan." The little girl's voice was very pure, and it sounded refreshing, like the muddy body being washed. He lifted his eyes to look, only to realize that the little girl who did not apply pink powder in Suari today seemed to have been dressed up deliberately. The corners of her eyes were drawn up, and when she looked at him, she was very charming. The lip color is also a tender red color that you can taste. He looked at it, and those thoughts in his mind were gradually gone, leaving only her tender lips that she wanted to bite. She is always a schoolgirl, and she never dresses like this. He knew that the little girl was very good, but he did not expect that she would be so beautiful if she changed her look a little. Yanj's lollipop stained his lips. What do you want? He opened his mouth subconsciously, but her lollipop was far away, and the sweetness on her lips made the whole mouth seem sweet. This sweet feeling spread to the internal organs, and she was all happy. Although he looked back, he thought in his heart that she must have all the sweet candy in her mouth. Instead of responding to her words, he asked, "Where did you get such a contract?" "Find a gold master," Yanj said, "I changed it with my own body." Her voice was normal, and she even brought with it a little showy. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 741. Gu Yufan was blanked out of his mind by the content of the words. No wonder she looks so good today, no wonder she looks different than usual. He glared at her with some distressed and pitiful accusations. How can you be such a rash girl, you? You should always discuss with me, you still have such a long way to go. Yanj interrupted him, it's not a big deal that you want to buy or sell. You promise or not? When she asked this, she went over his neck again. Did you think about it? Gu Yufan froze and did not avoid her, but asked, who do you trade with? Don't ask me that, Yanj said, I have my channel. She sat directly on his lap and plunged into his arms, hooked his neck, and asked him softly and sweetly, how are you thinking? Gu Yufan was so stunned by her, the girl's faint scent of fragrance rushed into his mouth and nose, and his face was all her face. At this moment, he felt like his heart was frozen. Why are your ears red? Yanj dragged his ears. So red, you won't be shy, Fan, I want you to think about business. Where did you go? Gu Yufan squeezed her hand. Girls, don't touch men. Laughing with words, her eyes frowning, like a little fox with a wagging tail, I'll just touch a fan. The soft sound of the people seemed to be softened, but somewhere suddenly burst out, especially hard. He resisted the impulse of his body and asked her, what will I pay? When I am a little white face. Yan Ji held his face in his hands, and said earnestly, be my lover, I will support you in the future. Gu Yufan. If she said that he had found a gold master, he was surprised, but because it was not about himself, and she was a gold master because of his own sake, although he was shocked, he had a little pride. After all, this is also one-sided explanation of his charm. But now, when hearing such words, Gu Yufan only felt ridiculous. She is a little girl. What kind of person does she think she is? He even said he wanted to raise him. Support him. If he really wants to find a rich woman, he still has no choice but to use it. He wanted to sneer, but she also said, taking care of you to provide you with resources, such a young and beautiful girl like me, but you don't lose money. Now I wrap you like this, and when you have money and strength in the future, you have to come and raise me. The two of us must find a way out, and we can't be decadent like this. The two of us in her mouth touched him. He bowed his head and asked her, don't you like me so much? Believe that I will fight for my strength to become a superstar? Why now, have you changed your mind? Yanj put his face on his face. I do like you very much, but it's too scary to talk about feelings. You can't afford it, I can't afford it. Simply take advantage of me while you are a young thing. Every word of her had poked into his heart. His throat rolled slightly, and her eyelashes fluttered on his face, making his face itchy and his heart itchy. He stared at her coquettish face. He did not lose money on such a deal. In fact, he actually made it. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After My Death, The Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 742. There are various thoughts in my heart. Gu Yufan felt that there were countless villains in his heart. He was not very willing to do this. However, such conditions cannot be resisted. At this moment, taking her into her arms, staring at her delicate little face, the complexities in his heart became an impulsive thought. He hugged her and walked towards the bedroom, his hoarse voice with a magnetic temptation, will you regret it? Yanj kissed his lips and told him with his actual actions. The girl's body was as soft as boneless. When she entangled herself, it was like she was wrapped in a stream of water, almost choking, but she was passionate. He was swimming and tumbling in the water, and soon got fun. However, before he wanted to show off his skills, he had already lost a lot. When he was in college, he had a first love. At that time, although many things were ignorant, although he hadn't done it really, he knew a lot of things. He remembered that when he was thinking about the taste of his first love, he could even use 5 girls in his dormitory bed all night without sleeping. Of course, later he chose to come to Beijing to run around, and his first love ended without a problem. Later, life was full of running around, and his body was far better than real life. Except for using 5 girls when necessary, he didn't even have much energy to talk with friends. Naturally, I didn't know he was retreating 1,000 miles in this regard. What made him even more surprised was that in addition to his liquid, there was blood in his private place with the girl. The drops of blood on the bed were shocking. He just remembered that he hadn't entered so smoothly just now. Yan Ji got up slightly and wrapped his neck. You take me to the bathroom. Gu Yufan was not as tolerant as she was, holding her to the bathroom and asking lowly, are you the first time? Yanj is not a real human being and doesn't care much about chastity. For Yanj, a woman's first trouble is pain. Almost every time, the first feeling is pain except pain, and there is no pleasure at all. She nodded annoyed, I just felt the pain, I didn't feel anything else. After a pause, she said, how is your technique? You need to teach me more. I thought it would be easy, but just now, I didn't feel any joy at all, and I still feel panic. Gu Yufan held the little woman in her arms tightly. He knew what she meant by the phrase teach her more. She had to go in front of her gold master to please him. It was too jerky to be afraid of gold master's dislike. He kissed her on the forehead, and for a moment, suddenly wanted to talk, and wanted her to stop doing this deal. He climbed up honestly, she followed him, and he supported her. However, I still think of him today, let alone support her. If it were not for her support, he would even have to support himself. The money in his pocket might not be enough to pay for utilities. That's Xingyu. Artists like him want to go where they want to go, and they can also play a role in a TV drama directed by Zheng Cheng. Even if it is a web drama, he thinks this opportunity is like a pie in the sky. He was completely unable to refuse. Perhaps it was the guilt that was born out of this dim thought. In the bathroom, he scrubbed her body carefully and gently, does it hurt? After My Death, The Villain Blackened Again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 743. Yan Ji nodded, the pain is not important. I'm mainly afraid of this kind of thing, and the pain is only the whole process. It's not just pain, he kissed her eyebrows and said softly, I heard that the girl will hurt for the first time, and will be better in the future. Really? She traced his fingers on his face. Yufan, can you continue? Or we will try again. Of course he can. Just when she was still going in, she still felt uncomfortable. The little face was about to end a Chinese not because of the pain. He didn't have the heart to continue anymore, simply trying to please her in other ways. Touch, kiss, mingle. At this moment, he felt like a devout knight, pleasing his queen, and thinking about it, and only wanted the queen to be physically and mentally comfortable. He stared at her eyebrows, watching her every reaction. He kissed her lips, and yelled, "Mimi." She was lazy, as if he had stripped his clothes and then removed his bones. Lying there was like a table of delicious food. No matter how you look at it, you look good and sweet. This night, the two were studying each other's bodies all night. Probably the most direct way to get closer to a man is this way to sleep. What's more, one night's time is more than one thing. In the morning, Yan Ji shoved Gu Yufan, who was still asleep. "Yufan, I'm hungry." Before Gu Yufan reacted in his sleep, he subconsciously answered, "What do you want to eat?" "I want to eat the loving breakfast you made for me." They drifted for so long, Gu Yufan learned to endure, and also learned to cook by himself. For more than a month, she has been showing her skills in the kitchen. Today it is rare that she can show her cooking skills. Gu Yufan kissed the song and said, "You wait, I'll do it before you get up." Yan Ji hummed almost with his nostrils, "Yeah." After a pause, he said in a soft voice, "Thank you Yufan." Gu Yufan coerced and didn't go back and went to bed with her in the bed. Breakfast was simple, with fried eggs and oatmeal porridge. Gu Yufan arranged the dishes on the table, and then he went out to chant. "My leg hurts and I don't want to walk, brother Yufan, hold me." She had a pitiful voice, and he couldn't bear the slightest rejection. Hold her in her arms like a child and went to the table. She was barely sitting on him. This meal eventually became her meal, and he ate her. The spine knows the taste, and does not think about chew. When he hugged her on the sofa, he couldn't help but said, "Don't go." Without waiting for her to respond, he continued to say, "If you don't despise me as poor and suffer with me, we are just fine. I try to make myself stand out and support you." The sound of the TV was ringing. She was watching TV seriously, but he was watching her seriously. The little girl is like a little fairy. No, she is a little fairy. As long as he thought she would lie under other men and be treated as a plaything by the man, his heart would be uncomfortable. When he said this, he was still tangled, and he would ask himself over and over again in the bottom of his heart, the future and the woman, choosing a woman, is it equal to a chicken fly? Chicken, the host wants you to take revenge on him, not to please him. Is there any obstacle to understanding your wood? Words of song, it's not me that pleases him, it's him that pleases me. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 744. After all, Gu Yufan didn't really have the money to support the woman. Her clothes and jewelry, inside and out, are luxury items. She may be willing to have a one-night stand with him, perhaps an impulse. But would she be willing to follow him to suffer like this all the time? He was not confident. Still, I didn't want her to go. She was still staring at the TV with all her attention, and when she heard that she was just pulling his finger, she said softly, "Don't make trouble." 2 words, like 2 pots of water poured on his head. Sober. Yes, there isn't even noisy capital. She put his hand on her chest, "Need more for me. It's too small. Maybe he will be rejected." He was silent. Who is disliked, of course, the gold master. Hard work helped her to enlarge her breasts, and then let her go to please others. Gu Yufan never thought that he would do this kind of thing one day. "Every time I think about it, I can't stand it." But now, he was really serious about rubbing her chest. Her bust was like 2 tiny buns, tender and fluffy, with a red dot on it. "It looks good, and you want to continue pinching." He rubbed her chest. Her heart was a bit sour, but she looked down to see her slightly squinting expression, and she didn't know why. Chiron and grievance became pride. He can make her comfortable and enjoyable, presumably that person can't do it. Yan Ji changed his posture to lie more comfortably in Gu Yufan's arms, and asked him, "Will you ever abandon me later? Will you hate it?" He didn't know, but he felt bad. He didn't want her to go, but knew that by his own ability, he couldn't afford to support her, and he couldn't even afford himself. He used to think that he was a man with a very deep perspective and a bottom line. He envisioned this situation. If there is a lover in the circle, he will never allow his lover to accept any hidden rules. But now, although sad, although embarrassed, although tangled, but in my heart, there is still a little sigh of relief. It was a very selfish thought. Perhaps because she was not his lover, she stepped back. "I won't disapprove." He felt her soft hair and said with guilt, "I won't disapprove you, I just blame myself for being incompetent." "It will be okay," Yanj said. "You will become a big star in the future, a superstar who is obsessed with walking away." She tilted her head and stared at him and asked, "At that time, you should be disgusted with me, I should become your dark history, and you can't wait to meet me." No, his voice was almost religious. "At that time, I would support you, and you would become me. I want to hide your golden house and make you my master. No matter what you say, I will obey you." Yanj seemed to be pleased by his words, giggling. "Then you have to remember what you are saying now." Yanji paused, and said, "In fact, it doesn't matter if you don't remember. At that time, there are so many girls around you, each with its own characteristics. You like it? I won't stop other girls, but if you want to go to bed with someone, you must tell me then. Yufan, I am overbearing. I did not have other conditions during my period of raising you. The only thing is that you can't go to bed with other people. In the future, you are booming. You can also raise me, but the prerequisite is that you cannot others go to bed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 745. The singer squeezed his chin captive, her eyes narrowed slightly, lying like a lazy little kitten, her voice soft, and she had no power, but Gu Yufan stared. Not only did she not think this was ridiculous, but she said solemnly, "Okay." Hearing the words, he laughed happily. "Yufan, would you think I double-marked? Haha, I found the gold master, and I was with you again, but you are not allowed to find others." Not waiting for Gu Yufan to respond, Yanj said, "I am a double standard. I am not only double standard, but also domineering and stingy. My own things cannot be touched by others. If you can't stand it, tell me. Although I double bid, I will not force you, we can still get together." The woman's soft body was still in his arms. Yesterday they were still in bed, and even she gave it to him for the first time, but now she said that. Gu Yufan's bottom of the heart was completely dissipated by her words. But before responding, she leaned up, held his face and kissed his lips. Her kiss was really clumsy. Last night, she had to dominate the rhythm a few times, but her body was enchanting, but her movements were jerky. On several occasions, she wanted to be the queen, but before moving a few times, she lay tired on him and let him do it. Her tongue was soft and sweet, and the thoughts in his mind were replaced by the pictures of last night, and gradually, he began to respond to him. Gu Yufan, who entered Xingyu, first received 3 months of closed training, and then officially appeared in Zheng Dao's TV show opening. I haven't seen her for 3 months and I can't even contact her. The moment he got his cell phone, he held the cell phone and called her the first time. The call was not answered. He was afraid of disturbing her, so he could only send a few messages. On the way home, he kept looking down at his mobile phone, but she never responded. 3 months, has she forgotten him? The company has arranged accommodation. He is not well known, so it is a 4-bedroom apartment with good configuration, but he refused and still lives in the house she rented to him. He hesitated slightly when he pressed his finger. I don't know if my fingerprint will expire. Surprisingly, the door opened after a light beep. He did not return for 3 months. Gu Yufan stood at the door, only to realize that everything in the room was exactly the same as before he left. The only thing that is different is that there is a large table on the table, and there are red wine and flowers. There were also a pair of slippers that he would normally wear at the door. He was inexplicably happy. She was still there, she must know that he was back today, so she wanted to celebrate him. He changed her shoes and looked for her everywhere in the room. Except for finding her mobile phone on the dining table, he didn't even see her figure. Where did this woman go? Although she was puzzled, she didn't panic. Instead, she rolled up her sleeves and fastened her apron, and fried a few dishes that had been cooked in her kitchen but not yet fried. Suddenly someone wrapped his waist behind him. Yan Ji stomped his feet and kissed his lips around his neck. Yufan is like a Tianluo girl, that's good. She murmured, her hand reaching into his apron and touching his belly. Fingers circled across his pants. This plane is a little bit special, you guys are stronger. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 746. Gu Yufan slowed the cooking, her breathing gradually slowed away because of the rotation of her fingers, and the whole person seemed to be picked by her into a tight string. No, it's not right. It's not a string. He now looks like a steel bar. The dishes in the pot were finally cooked. He turned off the fire, but instead of serving them out, he turned his head and hugged her, and lowered his head to catch her lips and kiss. The kiss was enthusiastic and mad, and he chopped her clothes, and on this stove full of dishes, fused with her insanely. At the critical moment, she pushed him, I need to wear work clothes, and I took the emergency contraceptive last time. I didn't get out of bed for 2 days with a headache, and my menstruation was not allowed. That thing hurts a lot, I don't want to eat it again. He immediately carried her and couldn't bear to go out. He went to the bedroom with a walk, and there was a workwear he bought with her in the supermarket at the bedside. He took a special look before he took it, the same amount as before he left. The quantity is the same. Gu Yufan, wearing work clothes, was as fierce as if he had taken a medicine. Yan Ji no longer had the first pain, and finally got fun. The back pain pushed under him, simply turned over and rode on him, from now on, I want to be the queen and take the initiative. He leaned up and bit her chest, observe, Her Majesty. The meal was not eaten until noon. Gu Yufan only needs to report to the crew after a while. These days are his holidays, and he and Yanj have been tired and crooked in the room. The curtains in each room were tightly pulled, and the clothes of the two people had known where they had gone. Most of them were snuggled together when he was out of energy. He rubbed her chest, and she was lying in his arms watching TV. This kind of day is too rampant and too pale. It's like two innocent animals have reached estrus. Every day, their ears are entangled with limbs, and they can't turn each other into themselves. Gu Yufan never thought that he would live such a life that is not suitable for children, and he was obsessed with it. She is like one of his toys that can never be tired of playing, which is disassembled every day. The more you play, the more you become addicted, and the more you play, the more you become obsessed. More horrible than the days when he was addicted to internet addiction when he was young. These days passed quickly, and in a flash, it was Gu Yufan's day to join the crew. He is not a big name, and he has to follow the crew every day when he enters the crew. It is not likely that he will see her before he is killed. Before leaving, he always told her tirelessly, eat breakfast in the morning, not because you are lazy, even if you have porridge is better than not eating, go to bed early at night, cannot watch TV, Mimi. Yan Ji interrupted him by pinching his neck. Yes, how many times have you said, call me? The soft voice is really not stingy. Gu Yufan's parting mood disappeared because of her words. He held her, kissed her forehead and said, wait for me to come back. Seeing her dissatisfied gaze, he added with a smile. She was happy now, holding his neck and jumping up to kiss his face with the tip of his nose. I'll wait for you to come back. He didn't ask her about her master. Nor did he ask if she would leave that time, if she would go there. I didn't ask when I left for the first time, and this time I didn't ask. But this problem has been circling in the stomach. Not asking does not mean that nothing happened.